This book arises from deep within my heart, and I tried for many years to write this book, but the energy was not flowing from my heart. And then 2 years ago, it started flowing. So I only had to follow that energy and write it down. Um, it's very, it was a very sweet and tender and loving energy that aroused from my heart and that created this book for, because if aroused like that, almost like channeled energy, very, very beautiful, loving energy, very innocent, because it happens through a girl of 5.5, sometimes older, sometimes younger. It's very pure. And I felt it's a transmission of the sacred feminine to whoever reads the book really will get that transmission. So the sacred feminine is the most tender, open, loving, deeper aspect of the heart of all sentient beings. Not women, not men, people of all gender. This is the most tender aspect of our heart. This what we call the sacred feminine. It's so tender and it's so vulnerable that many of us had spent many years building walls around it. But it's time to let those walls crack and show who we really really are, and stand up for the earth and all sentient beings from this place of tremendous love, tremendous vulnerability, tremendous openness, and fierce energy at the same time. The book starts with with the 11-year-old girl that I was, reminiscing of the times when I lived with my parents in the tropical forest of Puerto Rico. I am 11 years old and in a classroom. I don't remember exactly what kind of subject they are teaching, something that doesn't interest me. Everything they teach is out of touch with my life and my inner reality. I look out of the window into the blue sky and into the white puffy clouds passing by in the luminous immensity. I see life there. I see energy there. There was a dark skinned boy who lived next to our property in a slum or caserio, as it was called in Puerto Rico. Our property was separated from the caserio by a wire fence. The boy Hector and I used to stand on each side of the fence and press our bodies together. I still remember with great intensity the amount of electricity that was unleashed by my body, transporting me into a realm of pure bliss. This blissful electricity was the supreme nectar of my paradise. When I was when I was 5.5 years old, I had to start kindergarten. My parents took me to the city to live with my Catholic spinster aunt Titi while they relocated to the city. One day, Titi tells me that I have committed a mortal sin and therefore I was going to burn in hell, and I wholeheartedly believed it. In my vivid imagination, I saw terrifying waves of fire wrapping all over me. I felt acute terror, and my whole body shook with fear while I envisioned the flames of hell all around me. I couldn't stop crying and yelling in terror. I entered hell totally. With my mind's eye, I saw myself being devoured thoroughly by the flames of hell. I was alone without any defense of protection. I didn't question Titi or blame her or defend myself in any way. I was told I was going to burn in hell, and I did. I don't know how long this lasted, but no one came to console me at all. The next thing I remember is sitting up peacefully on my bed. From my bed, I saw in the center of the room the most magnificent woman you can imagine. She was made of light. Her attire was made of different shades of transparent blue and white veils that moved as if there were wind in the room. The most incredible thing was that this woman emanated from her entire body an incredible amount of love. I was bathed in love, in and out, and through me there was only love, clarity, and incredible beauty. Then I'm gonna jump further inside the book later on, but I want to tell you that this episode, at 5 years and a half old, it marked my life to the point that you don't forget something like that, even if people tell you, you know, that didn't happen. You imagine that, you invented that. Please do not talk more about that. Shut up. Don't mention it or being mocked. I didn't care. It didn't matter. This was so deep. This was so deep. It was like, oh no, you have seen this once, you never forget. And you feel sorry for people that says, don't talk about that, is wrong or whatever. I mean, you feel compassion, but deep down your whole body, even if it's a 5.5 years old body, that there was nothing more true than that. Yeah. I started my Zen training when I was 33 years old. I was married and had my first child. Practice allowed me to quiet my mind, to become one with my son and my life. I went to as many retreats as possible. In the book, I tell about several of my experiences during those retreats. The fact that they didn't allow the participants to talk about emotional difficulties during the retreat had a deep effect on me. I saw two women coming into the retreat looking sane, and then I saw them coming out of the retreat looking insane. They had to undergo psychiatric treatment. I also saw many men stuck in their practice for many years. I am convinced that the reason for this was that their emotional bodies were not being addressed by the teachers. I myself had to go through a lot of terror without having anyone to guide me through it. I came to realize it was due to my ability to trust my feelings without making stories about them, like happened when I was 5.5 years old, that I was able as a child to connect with the Lady of Light. After studying 10 years in the Kapleau lineage, I switched lineages to the Diamond Sangha and studied 4 more years with Pat Hawk Roshi, a leading teacher in the Diamond Sangha. I had meaningful experiences when I was studying with him. My mind had gotten so big and my heart so expanded that I had a clear revelation that the stars were actually in my own eyes, looking at my eyes. There was no separation between my eyes and the stars. My eyes were the stars and the stars were my eyes. I went to sleep with a very tender and soothing feeling in my heart. I felt loved by the universe. As I lay down, I entered into a different dimension. It was again the Sambhogakaya dimension. I had been there before when I was a young child and I recognized it. In this dimension, there is no suffering, only great love, and everything seemed to be tinted with a soft blue light. And in that dimension, I manifested as a woman of light myself, and every form of life came out of my womb. Later on, I will write the following poem. From the dimension of blue light, not even 1,000 steel swords can kill me. Free from life and death, my tears make the shining stars, and my laughter the oceans dance. I'm not a Buddha though, but the mother of all things. Um, I like the following definitions of the Sambhogakaya that are the ones that I can relate more with the experiences I had. Um, I like the definition of the Sambhogakaya as referring to the subtle body of limitless form, subtle body of limitless form. And it is said that an advanced bodhisattvas can appear in this body. And also Buddhas can appear in the Sambhogakaya manifestation and teach practitioners through visionary experiences. That definitely happened to me. Mm. And at 5.5 years old, was I an advanced practitioner? Well, I don't know, maybe I brought it from another life. It's all I can make of it. Um, but that vision saved me. Um, I don't know what would have happened to me with that experience without having been able to feel all that love from the universe after that. Then I brought my experiences to my kind teacher, Pat Hawk Roshi. He had been a wonderful teacher to me. He was so kind. My years of militaristic Zen, boot camp Zen were behind, and I have found this wonderful teacher, and I went so happy to bring this experience of me becoming a woman of light in this different realm. And he rejected my experience, and that was most painful. And it was also very painful because I was being mentioned that I would be empowered sometime in the near future, and that he suggested that in order to continue with my Zen career, I had to forget about that experience, and I didn't. I could not forget about that experience because again, it was the most real thing that I had ever experienced, and I would not betray it. So I had to abandon all my Zen training that I love more than anything else, except for my kids. But I would not betray the sacred feminine, so I had to abandon my teacher, my Zen career, um, and I didn't have any hope that I would continue again with my Zen career after that. So after Pat Hawk's rejection, I went in a crusade. I had to find someone that knew about it. I tell in the book the challenges I encountered with the rejection of my experiences by several other teachers. However, I never got discouraged in my search. My heart was brimming with big love, uncertainty, also certainty. There was no doubt about this, the magnitude of this. Then I met the Tibetan Buddhist Vajrayana teacher, Lama Tsotrym Algyone, who recognized my mystical experiences as Dakini experiences. And that encounter with Lama Tsotrym happened 30 years ago. And when we were about to publish the book, we wanted to see if she would endorse the book. And I had no hope that she would still remember me because we didn't keep in contact. I thought that was like, okay, a blind shot that we were giving. But she did remember actually. And we have been emailing, and she put her stamp on the book. And and she told me in an email, what a books you wrote. You have to send it to me because I was not able to read it all in the computer. I have trouble reading in the computer a book. So I hope she had received it by now. Just tremendous love for Lama Soltrim. Practicing Zazen meditation, we can enter through the many gates of emptiness, sometimes accessing the past and the future. Some people have a hard time understanding that although time is linear in the relative world, in the absolute world, time doesn't exist. However, through the experience of in-depth Zen practice, this can become perfectly clear. All of our previous experiences in this life and even into the distant past can be accessed through the gate of emptiness. We are like trees. So much of the tree grows below the surface of the earth. There is so much to us that exists underneath the ground, our collective history. The earth keeps the memory of everything. New archaeological evidence and revaluation of existing artifacts showed that the Great Mother was revered as a deity who created the universe and its natural laws. She was also considered to be a prophetess, inventor, and healer. The Great Mother was revered from the beginning of the Neolithic era around 7000 BCE until the closing of the last temples dedicated to the goddess around 500 CE. However, the roots of the veneration of the goddess go back to the Upper Paleolithic, 25,000 years BCE. We are connected through our unbroken ancestral line to the time in recorded history when we honor the sacred feminine. She was venerated for at least 7,500 years in comparison with the 4,000 years of patriarchal domination and the supremacy of a male god. There are at least 3,500 more years of predominance of the female deity compared to the subsequent religions that worship the male god. How different the world would be if we had been able to follow a more feminine model of creation. She was revered in the same way that later the masculine god was revered, but in a different way because the inherent nature of the goddess was that of a benevolent mother, where there wasn't guilt or shame of the body. Evidence showed that the religion of the goddess didn't disappear in a natural way, but that it was the victim of more than 20 centuries of continual persecution from those who were promoting the new religions that worship the male deities as supreme. The bloody massacres and the demolition of statues and shrines dedicated to the goddess are recorded in the Bible as obeying the commands of Yahweh. Even though the destruction was massive, temples demolished, people of all genders and their children massively killed, and entire villages wiped from the face of the earth, many objects survived the persecution and continue to speak of the extent and development of the civilization that honor the mother goddess. In the myth of Adam and Eve, women and men alike are told that at Yahweh's divine decree, male ownership and control of submissively obedient women was to be regarded as the natural state of the human species. This was the beginning of male domination that is still prevalent to this day in most of the world. The murder of women accused as witches escalated to more than 8 million. The burned or hanged victims were mostly simple country women who learned the lore and the secrets of the goddess from their mothers or grandmothers. The goddess gradually retreated into the depth of forests or onto mountain tops. Also, we also went underground, on the, under the surface of the earth. uh, stay dormant there, where she remains to this day in folk beliefs and fairy tales. But the cycles never stop turning, and now we find the goddess re-emerging from the forests, mountains, and from beneath the earth, bringing us hope for the future, returning us to our most ancient human roots. The Lady of Light has been sealed in my heart since time immemorial. She has been my secret refuge, my guidance, my present, and my future. And she would have remained secret if it had not been for what is happening to the earth at this moment, when we are at the brink of a climate catastrophe. She represented that which is most vulnerable in me, that which I didn't want to share with anyone for many decades because it is most intimate. But how could I let this precious planet with its wondrous creatures be destroyed without doing anything about it? Our lives and our very existence are a miracle. What do we want to do with it? Or what do we want to do with the rest of it? Our climate mess originated with the creation of a technological civilization rooted in a denial of the sacred feminine and in the belief that nature and women and minorities existed only to be exploited. The goddess practices that I present in the second part of the book aim to awaken the sacred feminine in people of all genders, therefore reawakening and strengthening the love for the earth, the cosmos, and all sentient beings. To quote the Dalai Lama's words, the world will be saved by Western women, people of all genders. We can save the earth together.